Yes, guys, we are back. Welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. It's me and it's Mr. Dean Jones all the way over in San Diego. We've also got Big Man Baka from Pakistan. So we are literally covering all like equidistant
All across the
away from each
world.
other. Is that right, Dean?
Yeah, I don't know how we word it, mate, but we are all over the world.
That's the one.
Yeah, 6 a.m. here. I'm getting used to the idea of being up at 5 o'clock in the morning for these shows, but it's very different from you look at you with your bright face and me with my bleary eyes.
I've got makeup on. I've just come from a studio, so it's brighter than normal.
I thought you looked better than normal. Yeah. I could do with it. That's what I need in the mornings, just some makeup around here.
Do you wake the rest of the family up when you get up that early? Like, does your wife and kids hear you and therefore also wake up at 5 a.m. or do you manage to sneak downstairs?
I usually sneak out, but Dylan is just or usually wakes up. It's so annoying how he'll the tiniest noise. Yeah, tiniest noise and he'll wake up. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see Dylan popping up in the comments section soon because he's woken up. Here he is. Here's big man.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
We're doing good, mate. We're doing good. How are we all feeling about this game week? Me and G are neck and neck at the moment. Basically, we're a few points apart. Big man, you're setting the pace.
I've just been lucky to have a good few weeks, which is why I guess.
Yeah, you make your own luck in this game, though, big man. You've had some good decisions. You've made some good calls, and actually, I'm going to need your advice and yours, Dean. And all you chasers on what to do in my team. I'm either selling Foden or Gabriel this game week. I'm selling one of the two. And yeah, we'll do a poll on my team later when we see it. But I mean, big decisions. Have you got big decisions on your team, Dean, this week?
No, I don't think so. I think that I'm just going to leave it, to be honest. We'll look at my team in a bit. I've got a free transfer to use, obviously, but I'm not sure that there is a transfer that's going to make any significant difference to my week.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get to a place where I'm not just hopping every week.
Good
because, I was saying in actually the Chasing Green Arrows WhatsApp group this morning, when I woke up, people asking about plans. And I was like, the thing is, you try and jump on an informed player this season and you've missed their points already. And the player that you already had in your team that you just get rid of then goes and gets some points over the next 2 weeks anyway that would have made up for those points. And that's the gamble that we have to kind of calculate when we're making our changes. I just feel like I've been making transfers for the sake of making transfers too much. So I'm going to try not to unless you guys see something that you think I should do.
Okay, nice. And big man, any big decisions for you this week that you've not already made?
No, this week has been a fairly quiet one for me in terms of my decision making, and my transfer sort of picks itself. So there's not much to think about this week. Not with the transfers, neither with the captaincy.
Yeah, okay, nice. Neither of us have Isak, so yeah, we'll be joining Dean on the Isak hype. Let's talk a little bit about Newcastle though, because I've just written an article about how I think there's 3 very good FPL assets to buy at Newcastle outside of Alexander Isak. I'm not saying don't go and buy Isak, but there's an argument to double or even triple up on Newcastle. They're that good at the minute, and they've got the fixtures, and they've got the FPL assets. Like Jacob Murphy is a proper cheap midfielder that's starting games on the right-hand side. Anthony Gordon's clearly the second best option in the squad. And Lewis Hall is one of the standout defenders in FPL at the minute with open play and set-piece assist threat, and now getting clean sheets. Newcastle have scored 13 goals and conceded none in their last 4. Dean, is that a short-term thing, or can we expect that to continue, do you think?
I don't think I can expect that to continue. I don't trust it. There aren't many teams in this league you can trust, and I think that it's just such a strange season, and that team particularly, I guess they're getting towards a place now where we should have expected them to be across the season. I just don't trust that won't fall away again. So I'm personally not going to be running to jump on that train. Sean sent us a super chat. Thank you very much, mate. $4.99. Dean, it's time to go rogue again. -4 every week. Go mad. Well, happy New Year, guys. Yeah. Once I start to lose pace with G or something like that, then I'll start to go mad. For now, I don't want to take any -4s beyond the ones I've already taken. So I think I've taken 2 so far this season, which isn't too bad in terms of -4s. But yeah, until we have to start chasing our tails, I don't really want to go down that pathway. In terms of players we definitely need then, lads, I have got Isak and you haven't got him. Is he just the must-have at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, me and Big Man are too late to the party in a way, but we both knew our entry point would probably be game week 2021.
Yeah.
We both knew we'd get points before that, but struggled to reach him because he's gone up in price so much. So, Big Man, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but you and I have both wanted him. We've just not been able to necessarily easily get him. I prioritised Jackson a few weeks ago. Isak is considered a must-have, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I had Saka over him and I had Trent over him, so that's why I was unable to get him all those weeks ago. But it's sort of gotten to the point where we just have to cut our losses, except that the underlying data is great. In fact, some of the fixtures that he has to come are actually better than some of the ones that he's just had. I mean, Spurs are missing their defense this week. I mean, this could be 2 or 3 for Newcastle, I would believe, at the minimum. And yeah, I just think Isak is a fantastic option this week, and he's someone I'm not exactly willing to go without. I currently have Solanke in my team, and I generally don't hate the option of keeping Solanke, but Isak is just so much superior that I have to make the transfer.
Dominic Decoy, mate, he's got to go. He's got to go. He's got to be the easiest sell ever.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only realistic route to Isak in my team, so I'll sell him. But I don't think he's a must sell for people.
You're so loyal. I'd love to be married to you.
I'd love to. for people who have Solanke and Isak in their team, are there too many forwards that appeal? I mean, there's Chris Wood who's doing all right. João Pedro is fine, but apart from that, there's no one else I really like.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I mean,
it's slim pickings,
where do you go to?
I think if you look at it, like Solanke's probably going to deliver a goal every 3 games. Like I think you could probably trust that. Like because once you add it all up, like occasionally you'll get a brace here and there. I think it'll be fine. Like he has some unlucky moments. You look at that last game against Wolves when he ended up. Who did he kick? Bentancur was it?
Was brilliant.
I mean, the way they collided with each other, and like you can see in Solanke's face, he's got the ump in that moment. He's like, I'm the striker. Just let me hit it. Like that's my chance, not yours. Get out the way. And he's got a fair point. So I still always think Solanke's a little bit unlucky. But the one thing that we talk about here a lot is you'll get those like rebound goals. He'll always follow in the keeper. Any shot, like Solanke's right there, ready to pounce. It's pretty old school. There's not too many strikers that play that style of goal scoring anymore. But Solanke, he'll get his fair share.
What about Jackson, Dean? Jackson, Gakpo, Jesus. There are 3 forwards I would still consider buying this week. Let's discuss those 3.
They just all seem trendy to me rather than good. I think
that Jesus feels very short term, doesn't he? Like he's scoring goals now, but we know that won't happen for long and he'll be out the team. And
I think so, yeah. I mean, Arsenal probably sign a forward in this transfer window. They're certainly looking.
Wide forward or 9?
They want a flexible one, you know. They want someone that can go across the line if possible.
Sesko out of reach this window, is he?
Yeah, they won't get Sesko. I mean, there are some whispers at the moment that they're looking at Cunha, which obviously isn't a forward as such, but that wouldn't surprise me if that was the kind of player that they were looking at. They've looked at Omar Marmoush as well. I'm not sure they'll get him in this window, but they're certainly one of the teams looking at him. But ideally, they want someone that can play on that right side just to kind of replace Saka while he's gone, but can also play centrally. Easier said than done because in a January transfer window, there aren't many players that are going to be good enough. Brian Mbeumo is somebody that Arsenal really like. Again, Brentford just saying, it'll be £50 million plus if you want Mbeumo in this window. But they're the types of players that you're looking at. And obviously the selling clubs would be, unwilling to sell at this moment because it kind of ruins your season.
Interesting. Big Man, what's your take on Gakpo? Because he's proper cheap and he started 8 of the last 9 for Liverpool on the left-hand side. In 6 of those games, though, he's seen early subs between like the 59th and the 75th minute or whatever it is. Do we take 75 minutes of Gakpo, given that he's pretty much starting every game? Or do you just go too much of a minute's risk and actually Luis Diaz could come in on the left-hand side and Jota could play as the number 9? I mean, from all those Liverpool attackers, there is 2 spots for 3. There's 3 players for 2 spots. We can exclude Darwin in terms of chances of starting big games. But Jota, Diaz, Gakpo feels a lottery. I mean, I still think it's going to be Jota impact sub, Diaz 9, Gakpo left, but is that a lottery we want to play? But Liverpool do have a double game week coming up soon.
I think, Gianni, there are 2 approaches that you can take to this. The first is that you can just simply decide beforehand that you don't want to mess with the minutes and just pick someone like an Alisson, like I've been suggesting for weeks.
Yeah.
And if not, and if you want to get an attacker, then I think the best strategy to get an attacker is to leave that transfer till as late as possible. And let's say if Liverpool are doubling in 24, 25, you leave that transfer till 23 and 24. And then when you have the best information available and the maximum information available, then you make that transfer. Because I just think there are too many things that are up in the air when it comes to Liverpool attackers. A couple of weeks ago, Jota was being named as a replacement in midfield. But now suddenly people are talking of Gakpo. So I think depending on how minutes are looking at that point, it's probably a decision left till later.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you agree with that, Dean? Like, we could get to the double game week in 24, 25 and I don't know, Gakpo's injured and Luis Diaz is a great pick, but and it's hard to fully commit to a strategy on that third Liverpool asset unless you just play safe with a second Liverpool defender.
Yeah, it is. And I still feel that Jota is going to end up playing a bigger role than we're kind of seeing at the moment. They've been able to ease him back in a way that has been perfect for them because they can be absolutely sure now that his troubles are behind him. And because the front line has been working out, that's been really good. But there's no way I see Jota being benched week after week after week. At some point, he's going to come into this team, he's going to make an impact, and he'll be starting the next one, and he won't lose his spot beyond that moment. And that's why I'm continuing to keep Jota on my radar as actually my other Liverpool forward that I want, because I don't trust that Gakpo keeps it up. I don't believe that Luis Diaz is that good a pick in this game. We're seeing some rumours around at the moment about the potential of like Darwin Núñez leaving and things like that. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe something like that happens, but I'm still not convinced anyone really pays up that much money for Darwin Núñez right now. So personally, I think I would like go with the defender and Salah for now, and just wait in case Jota suddenly is one that you just can't live without, because it's definitely something that could come through in the second half of the season. To have someone like that fresh in the attack would be amazing.
Lewis says Darwin being linked to AC Milan. Yeah, that's because he liked to post on Instagram yesterday about a rumour story about Darwin and AC Milan. He's a very AC Milan type signing. The big thing will be, can they afford him? Can they afford his wages? I very much doubt it. They do love a striker that can't hit a barn door and did recently sign Alvaro Morata. So maybe Darwin's perfect for him. He fits that model.
Oh, I love Morata. Yeah, I mean, I can't see that transfer actually happening.
He's not going to be cheap, is he, Darwin? Like, who buys him? Because Liverpool spent a ton. Like, we forget, Liverpool spent, 70, 80 million on Darwin, right?
Yeah, I think the report around that one was talking about 50-odd million for Darwin, which halfway through the season, I don't really see the point of Liverpool taking a loss on him. Well, he's still, could be helpful if you get injury problems, etc., etc. Mark also asked me about the possibility, of an Osimhen Rashford swap, which has been
I read that this morning.
I mean, Osimhen has been linked with Man United a few times, and the big problem is wages. I mean, the reason Man United can't sign players is because they've got to sort out their wage problem. So maybe this is one of the few things that you could do to solve that, like get rid of Rashford, say, all right, you take Rashford's wages, and that allows us to pay Osimhen a decent whack. But everyone I've spoken to who I know that might know something about this plays it down. So I can't see it. I mean, if I was Osimhen as well, I'd be looking at Man United at the moment and be thinking, no, thanks. I'll wait for something else.
Yeah, when we think of the other clubs that have been linked with Osimhen in the last 12 months, Man United are not the Champions League calibre of clubs the others are. There we go, guys. Get your questions in as well. I do think Liverpool and Newcastle feel like, we've just discussed both clubs, but feel like the teams that have done really well over the festive period, that have got good fixtures coming up. So they're definitely front of mind. I just want to turn our attention to Arsenal, because Gabby Jesus, I think, needs a little bit of discussion in his own right, because he is now producing the data and he is getting the starts. And even if Havertz comes back in, do we expect to see Gabby Jesus wide? I think maybe if he's playing well, we might continue to see Jesus start some way, shape or form. But that defence, do we need to be invested in the double Arsenal defence? If you're a big man and you've got double Arsenal defence, do you start to think about selling one of them? Like, do we look at the Arsenal fixtures and think clean sheets are coming? Or are they going to keep conceding 1-goal games like they did against Brentford, for example?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I've got Timber and Gabriel. Obviously, Timber's not available this week.
You selling him?
No, I'm just going to leave him for now. I can play without him. I've got Gabriel that I can still play, and then my other three I can play. I've got Luca Dean, I've got Aina, I've got Kirkes. They've all got decent fixtures, so there's no real need for me to go panicking about that this week. But I still think the double Arsenal defence is totally fine. I don't think I would be running away from that, because I think that there aren't many trends we can follow across this season, are there? Like, there aren't many things that are like tried and tested that work. Like, we know Salah scores goals and we know that Arsenal don't give up many chances. So beyond that, everything else has been pretty much a guessing game. So I think for now, I'm just going to stick to the belief that Arsenal continue to restrict teams, and they're going to be one of the hardest teams to score against.
They've big man. Liverpool and Forest top the clean sheet charts with 8. Are Liverpool defenders better than Arsenal defenders? And should we be looking for one premium defender? Let's all assume it's Gabriel or Trent, but not needing perhaps Gabriel and Trent, knowing there are a ton of defenders at 4.5 to 5 million. Robinson, Munoz, Lewis Hall. I could put Kirkes or Mikalenko in that bracket. Like, do we need more than one premium defender? And who should that be?
I was going to ask Dean about his Trent plan, because he hasn't had Trent for weeks. And after having seen him get the 15-pointer, has he changed his mind? Because I think even though his defense looks good on paper, the lack of Trent at this point, I think, it would genuinely scare me. Because, against Man United, there's every chance for another 15-pointer.
Yeah.
Liverpool's defense is just so good that anytime if Trent gets any sort of attacking return, it's going to be a double-digit haul. So going without Trent is generally scary.
Yeah, I'm not getting him, but it was a good performance last time out, and obviously this part of me was like, damn, that was good. But we don't know how Trent's going to react to this situation that he's in right now. Like, there's who knows what the reaction is to Trent at the weekend against Man United. Like, he goes one way or the other. He either pulls out a super show and says, don't worry, while I'm here, I'm committed to you and I'll give everything, and I don't want my reputation to be tarnished. On the flip side, there's a lot of Liverpool fans that are not happy about Trent's behaviour right now, and he can give it all this and whatever he wants. But at the end of the day, he's definitely thinking of joining Real Madrid, and no team likes that. No team likes to know that their player has eyes on somebody else, and that's exactly what we are with Trent. I don't believe that there's barely any chance that Trent is staying at Liverpool.
He's gone, isn't he?
Yeah, he's gone. Real Madrid don't make pushes for players like this unless they know that they want to join them.
But obviously, last year to own him in FPL, nostalgic FPL managers will all feel the need to own him for the second half of the season.
Yeah, and I understand Liverpool wanting to hold on for him now. I think Liverpool could win the league without Trent. I think that this is the one season when you'd actually be all right without Trent, and you could just say, all right, then. But then 20 million, it's not really that much. You don't really need that, and I can understand why they'd be like, no, you're staying here. So I find that situation interesting. I do think that Trent could bang this weekend, though, and I do think that they could cost me not having him. He's too expensive for me to get to be honest. But yeah, it is an intriguing one as to how he reacts to this, because I don't think it's going to be straightforward. I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't trust it longer term.
Geddy, great question. We'll get to that in a sec. Big man, just want to get your reaction again to those.
I don't know, it's even snow in there.
Yeah. Well, we did weather report a couple of weeks ago, and the storm Dara did come in, didn't it? So
yeah,
we'll come to the
weather at the Met Office that day.
Yeah, that was brilliant. The amount of criticism, we got loads of comments about, clickbait. I was like, no, it actually was called off, mate. So, big man, just your take then on the Arsenal versus Liverpool defence and the need for either a Trent or a Gabriel if you're going to have one, and where do we run? Because I don't think we need Arsenal defence for this next window, for example.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think Trent is borderline a must-have for the coming run, personally, especially with the doubles that they have coming up. I don't necessarily mind the transfer speculation, because even if it is there, I mean, I think the chances of him moving in January aren't as big as expected. And if he stays, I think he's going to be a mainstay in the team. I mean, Arne Slot was asked about it in the press conference. He did say he's going to start. And as long as he keeps starting, whether or not there is speculation should be relevant, I think. And you don't exactly want to end up in a situation where you sort of defer the transfer, hoping that Trent moves or is not playing as well because of the speculation. And it turns out that he's actually gotten the points. And then you're chasing all those points later on before the double. So, yeah, I think Trent is a must-have. I think that Arsenal defense is sellable, despite their very strong underlying data and the fixtures that they have to come. They're not exactly great, the fixtures. So that's why I think you can perhaps keep one, Gabriel. And if you have to, I think you definitely sell one on. I mean, if, for example, with Rye, you probably sell him to someone like an Alisson, in my opinion. But if you have someone like Timber, you move him all to Trent if you don't have him. And if you have Trent, then someone like Munoz or Hall or Castan or Anderson, somewhere of that sort, because all these cheap defenders from Newcastle and Palace and Fulham are going to offer good value with their fixture swings as well.
Yeah, nice. Guys, there has been a yellow warning of snow and ice for the UK. We're looking at Saturday to Sunday. Heavy snow, some freezing rain in places may cause some disruption over the weekend. This is a yellow warning, not a red or an amber, which is what we were looking at with Storm Dara. It is going to drop really, really low. We're going to see like -4, -5, -6. And there are obviously lots of games being played. It's actually in the southeast that's most affected. Are we going to get football, any games postponed? We sat here a month ago and said that there was a good chance with what we were seeing and hearing on the Friday about Storm Dara that the game was going to be in jeopardy. I don't think we're sitting here thinking the same thing this weekend. So I'd be very, very surprised. But there are games for the likes of Crystal Palace in the southeast, Southampton, Brighton, all on Saturday in those areas. But I think we're good. All I'd say is make sure we vice captain and captain in different fixtures, just in case.
Yeah. I honestly didn't realize it got quite that cold. When did it get so cold? Is it just suddenly in the last 2 days? I've really not. I'm not. My friends always complain about the weather in England when they're messaging me, but I didn't realize it got this cold. So I'll be looking at that later just to make sure that I'm aware of any games that might be off. But it doesn't sound good. Eddie just said he's going to the Liverpool game. He says tomorrow. I would say, Eddie, don't go tomorrow because the game's on Sunday. But then again, he says he's a Man United fan, so maybe you should go tomorrow instead of Sunday because it'd probably be better to be at Anfield on Saturday than Sunday. He said, my family support Liverpool, so I can't shout for Man United, poor me. I mean, I'll be honest, Eddie, I'd love to believe that Man United could go there and cause an upset like they did against Man City, but this could have 4-5-0 written all over it, couldn't it? I mean, United have been so poor. And I think Amorim has to take quite a bit of the blame for it because he's been so stubborn about sticking with this formation and this style of play that the team are clearly incapable of carrying out. And he's changing the combinations all over the pitch still, which shouldn't be happening. So I'm concerned about that. I saw today he's admitted that Harry Maguire, I say admitted like he's useless, but Harry Maguire will be signing a contract extension. They'll be keeping Harry Maguire. They've got to. United can't just get rid of everyone. As much as they would like to get rid of 90% of this team, they can't. They have to keep some of them. And Harry Maguire, from being a player they were ready to offload over the past couple of years, is actually going to be staying. So that's interesting. Let's see how he gets on next time out. Did you see that pass from Maguire? It went a bit viral in the end. In their last game they lost, when he kind of carried the ball out of defence and he had plenty of time and he looked around and he just sprays this pass out wide and it just goes straight to Amorim in the dugout. It literally goes straight to Amorim's foot. It's like, oh my God. What he must be thinking, what have I got here? He's treating him like a Sunday league team, isn't he?
It's so bad. You make a good point on the combinations.
Oh, it's the one thing he's not nailing, and it's like
Eriksen and Casemiro in the middle. I'm sorry, that was never going to work versus Jolin and Tonali and Bruno. We're playing against a good three, so we're going to go with no legs of our two.
The one combination he's got is Ugarte and Mainu, so you've got to play that any time you've possibly got it. And yeah, I mean, I don't think that he'll be doing that experiment again. We'll see. I mean, Eriksen's probably not at Man United by the end of this month, so that should take that out of the equation.
Just try a back four. Look, in the summer, go back to your wing back, and you know you're going to do that. That's your philosophy. But if it ain't working, Antonio Conte likes wing backs, but he'll happily go to a club and go, I'm going to play back four if that's what's needed. Like you can't have one system only. You can have your favourite system and you can try and do everything you can, but you have to be willing and open to a plan B. This team ain't ready for it. So play back four until the summer, get some time on the training ground and come back next year a better team. Yeah,
until they've got that left wing back. They can't really do this. Like, they just don't have a single person that is capable of playing there. Lewis says Ugarte was suspended for Newcastle. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, Minor wasn't though. So
that's what made it weird. That's what made it weird. Yeah, it's
and
like
Xerxes is a poor Xerxes.
Who comes on after
human being there.
Yeah, poor old Xerxes. He's really not as bad as it's being made out at the moment. I hope he gets a chance to turn this around.
Too legitimate. Someone hired Gianni as head coach. Look, if you don't want our opinion, don't watch the show. Big man, what do you make of Man United as a team to target in FPL? And keep it purely to FPL. Don't give any footballing opinion whatsoever on this show, please.
I think in terms of Man United, you just, I'm feeling very cozy, confident captaining Salah this week against them. They're a team to target when you have a fixture against them. They're a very good team to target for attackers. Coming to the Man United team itself, Bruno Fernandes might be an option again for me in Gameweek 21. I'm never saying never. I am serious. I mean, Mbeumo to Bruno might happen for me yet again in Gameweek 21. I'm not joking. It could happen, but again, it sort of comes down to whether or not I want Alisson, etc. So there are plenty of things that will happen that are in play. But yeah, it's not something I've sort of exactly written off, because I wanted Bruno for this fixture run that United have coming up after this week. I think people sort of need to. People need to sort of differentiate between Man United being a terrible team and Bruno being a terrible asset, because I don't think those two things go hand in hand. I think you can be a good FPL asset in a bad team, and I think people
Bruno's done it for 5 years.
What is sort of exactly, and what has sort of made it worse is the fact that he's actually gotten 2 red cards himself. But apart from that, there was a spell where he got close to above 60 points in like 9 weeks, and he was averaging close to 6.57 points a game. So again, I think there will be spells where people think he's a terrible pick, but then when he's doing well, people won't exactly bat an eyelid about him.
There we go. We've done a poll. Do you own a Man United player? Yes or no? Get voted. Big man, Bruno will be in the squad of many, especially to the chasers, because they watch you, and therefore, if they're watching you, they'll almost certainly have heard a lot about Bruno being a good pick. Bruno or João Pedro in your starting 11 this week?
I think I'd go João Pedro. Liverpool, I think, have the best clean sheet odds of all teams after City, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, because I think a lot will have that dilemma. A lot of Bruno owners will own João Pedro as perhaps their 8th attacker or 7th, but Rodgers as well. So that's a big one this week.
Yeah, so
tough opponents.
Liverpool actually have the highest odds. They're joint highest with Villa, and then third, Fulham and Man City are joint third. Arsenal clean sheet percentage probability is 32%. Liverpool is 42%. So yeah, I think I'd go with João Pedro over there. And I mean, if I was to predict the 2 games, I do think Brighton score against Arsenal, and I think Liverpool win 0 against Man United.
Yeah. Okay. Dean, how do you see those games going?
Brighton are a bit of a weird one, aren't they? I mean, I benched João Pedro last week, and of course he scored. I don't know what to do with him at the moment. I don't know which games to play him in. So at the moment, I've got João Pedro on the bench, and I've got Ahmed on the bench for this game week. I'm comfortable to leave Ahmed out for this one.
Well, let's see your team, because your team's always first. That's it, because benching dilemmas are a big topic this week, I reckon. Yeah, and João Pedro, you and I just got 9 points from him on the bench. Like, is João Pedro the sort of player we need to be playing every week?
I don't think so. I don't think so. It's just a case of accepting like you're going to miss some points along the way when you don't pick him. Yeah, so that's my team at the moment.
You've got some good defenders this week. Aina, Kirkes, Dean. It's really
that's
you
the
want to
thing.
play him.
Like, is there one of those? Is João Pedro a better pick than one of those when he's playing Arsenal at home? That's what I was looking at yesterday.
No Cunha against Aina either. So Aina's clean sheet odds with no Cunha.
I think I prefer to go with the 4 defenders. If João Pedro scores, then fair play to him. But I don't know. I think I like the gamble of going for Gabriel getting the clean sheet and João Pedro not managing to score a goal. It is a gamble for sure. But João Pedro has been a little bit unconvincing, hasn't he, in terms of regular points. So I'm always at the point, to be honest, where I'd rather just get rid of João Pedro because I'm not using him effectively at all. Like I missed
Odegaard.
Yeah. Well, Odegaard is obviously he was put in as my Saka replacement here. He's obviously playing well, but he's still like the pass before the assist or whatever, and he's not really getting in the points. So I'm not loving the pick of Odegaard, but I'm kind of like, surely there are points around the corner for Odegaard. Like, I can't believe that he can go through this spell and not get anything, which is what's been happening so far. He hasn't actually got a decent points haul since game week 13. Since we're now going into game week 20, like that's not great.
But Big Man was close to Odegaard as well. Like that was, it was a very obvious Saka.
I was extremely.
Yeah.
Big Man. The funny thing is that despite the Bruno red, I got a net gain of 3 points by picking Eze and Bruno as opposed to just Odegaard because of the Eze haul that gave me a gain of 3 points. Yes, I used an extra transfer, but I'm sort of happy with Eze over the long run. So yeah, I was fairly pissed about not going Odegaard after Bruno got sent off, but it hasn't exactly been as bad as it could have been.
Mate,
I still think Odegaard is fine.
Benched Bruno last week as well, which means you got João Pedro's 9. You wouldn't have got João Pedro's 9 if you had Odegaard because you'd have started him.
Yeah, that's true. Who did I bench?
So Bruno got you 9 points in a way last week.
I benched Raul actually. Oh no, I have Raul, so I benched Raul. Sorry. I benched Raul. I don't have Bruno. Yeah. I sold Bruno for Eze. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh, I'm with you. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. I've had Raul and I've pretty much benched him in most weeks. But yeah, I mean, looking at that team, I think I would probably roll the transfer. I don't think there's an obvious route to Trent with this team without taking a hit. So I think Dean, I'd probably do that. And I'd play João Pedro. I think I'd play João Pedro. I'd probably bench one of Aina or Kirkes because generally, when it's a 50-50 decision, I tend to prefer the attacker, especially if it's a penalty-taking attacker. So yeah, I think I'd play João Pedro and I'd bench Aina, I think, because he's playing away.
Would you? Yeah. I mean, Aina's obviously just been getting big points recently, so I'm just wary of that.
Should we do a poll? Bench Aina. We'll do a poll for all 3 of our teams. So bench Aina or João Pedro.
Cool. If I was to do a transfer and I was to ditch Odegaard, I mean, obviously it would open up the fact that I could bring in potentially another Liverpool midfielder. So I could get Luis Diaz, I could get Diogo Jota. I don't mind I still actually feel like Jota's got more chance of returning this week probably than Odegaard. Well, it's not the worst transfer in the world, but going for a starter against Brighton, I'm probably better off just sticking with what I've got.
Jota or Diaz, do you reckon, if you're going for a mid? How do you feel about those minutes? Because I'm so torn. I'm kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Jota's going to continue to be an impact sub, and Diaz maybe gets.
Yeah, I think Diaz gets the minutes, but I always will back Jota for goals. And I think if you've got that Man United team, and you've got Jota coming off the bench even for half an hour,
yeah, I get it.
He should score. I mean, we've all got our own idea.
When he comes on, it's going to be open and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there'll be many people that don't expect a batter in here. I mean, they might surprise us. They could shut up shop Man United and manage to see this through, but we all know that there's the possibility of a reasonably early Liverpool goal that just opens the game up, and then that's that.
Yeah, okay. We'll do that poll. Bench Aina or João Pedro. Get voting, guys. Remember, you're voting to bench. Which one do you bench? I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote on that as well. I think I'm similar thoughts to Big Man there, but it's a. I
think the poll could have. I think Gianni, the poll could have looked a lot more different had João Pedro not gotten the 9-pointer last week. I think it would have probably been in favor of the defender. But now that João Pedro has had those 9 points, I think people might prefer starting João Pedro.
Yeah, at the moment, 69% would bench João Pedro. Wow. Surprised at that.
No, I don't agree with that.
I personally would be benching Aina too, same as Big Man. But look, the people have spoken. So, yeah.
He hasn't been that effective, though. I know he got a goal in the last game, but he hasn't been that effective.
It's just the ceiling is. I know Aina's got some big points this season, but realistically, if you get Aina points, you're going, I'm getting a 6-pointer. If you do happen to get João Pedro points, I feel like the ceiling is much higher. It could be a 10-pointer.
Yeah,
I don't know. I do.
And João Pedro's high owned as well. His higher owned as well. So X regret will be higher if you bench João Pedro.
X regret. I like that. There we go. Fair. Well, look, Dean doesn't need to make a transfer. Looking good. Salah captain. We don't need to discuss that this week. So let's move on to one of our other teams. Good job. Refreshing seeing a 4-4-2.
Yeah, weird, eh?
Old school.
This is you, Rico Lewis.
Yes.
Mate,
Yeah,
Foden's the one that's jumping out at me.
Who else would be stupid enough to have 2 Man City players in their 11? Let's do a poll straight away. Should Gianni sell? The 2 options are Gabriel to Munoz or Foden to Gordon. I'm definitely going Cunha to Isak. I've got 2 frees. So should I do Gabriel to Munoz? If I did that, by the way, Munoz would be on the bench and Lewis Hall would come into my 11. Quite happy playing Hall against Tottenham for attacking returns. No.
Well, you reckon Hall is better than Munoz this week? That is another tricky decision that a lot of people have.
Yeah, I do. Hall's better than Munoz, man. Like, Chelsea aren't bad. They've had a couple of bad games, but I think Chelsea will beat Palace, and I think Newcastle will beat Spurs. So Foden to Gordon is what 90% of people will vote because they all own Gabriel and they all hate Foden. But I want to see your voting here, guys. So Gabriel to Munoz or Foden to Gordon. We'll get that poll up in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I mean Foden really let you down, didn't he, mate? After you bigged him up and he didn't come good for you in that game.
No,
he was poor.
He was really poor. I mean, I got 6 points, so I'm happy.
You did get the points. So you were okay.
He was really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be sticking with Phil Foden. I just don't think we're gonna see it. But it's West Ham at home.
Do you reckon he starts, Dean? I'm worried he was that bad that he actually might be dropped. That's the only reason why this is an option. If you tell me Foden starting, and I knew that for fact, I'd 100% sell Gabriel straight away. Like Foden versus West Ham, I've just got to give him the chance. Like they could beat West Ham 3-4-0 without.
They could, yeah. That's the thing. I mean, we've seen how bad this West Ham team can be. They now haven't got Jarrod Bowen, which is their leader, their talisman. So really, you're looking at West Ham thinking Kudus is going to have to pull something out the bag if they're going to do something special. I think Souček's going to be captain now, and he'll have to have the game of his life. And actually, Souček could do all right in a game like this. It wouldn't surprise me if West Ham scored a goal, but I do also think it's plausible that Man City win 4-1, 5-1, and Lopetegui loses his job afterwards because they can't take another battering. Like, he can't keep getting battered when he loses against these teams. So there is possibilities for Foden to get points here because it's West Ham, but City just aren't convincing in their styles. And like for most teams, I'd say, yeah, this is an opportunity to take advantage of West Ham in a vulnerable position. But I don't know if City are capable of it. They've got a win under their belts, and it was a bit better. But yeah, we'll see. CH thinks there might be a new baby bounce for Haaland. I'm still not sure what they're getting.
I think Cunha to Isak picks itself. Now you need to decide on a funding transfer, right? I would just keep it simple because I think there's a possibility that you might end up or want to keep Gabriel for the weeks to come. You might not want to sell him. But I don't see a scenario where you don't sell Foden in the weeks to come. And if you are looking for a funding transfer and if you're not sure about Foden's minutes, you've got to sell him. I think it's as simple as that. And besides that, I think if you're targeting Munoz as the replacement, only to bench him this week, it does not sound optimal to me. I think if you're buying Munoz, you might as well go next week. You could potentially buy him for Lewis even next week instead
That's
of
the
Gabriel.
plan. Yeah, if I go
by
Foden to
releasing-
Gordon, it's Lewis to Munoz next week.
Exactly. And by releasing cash from Foden, I mean, you can go to someone cheap like a Sar or an Eze like I have, or you can go with Gordon. I mean, Gordon would release some cash as well. So that's fine. I think I would sell Foden in this case, because even if Foden ends up getting more points this week, I think over the next 4 to 6 weeks, the transfer route you take will end up getting you more points this way through selling Foden.
The chat with you, the chat really with you. And look, I guess that was what I thought off the bat. I just don't want to sell Foden home to West Ham. And you're right, like even if he gets points this week, you move on. But I feel like the points this week, I want to get them and bank it and then make the transfer. Is it? But every transfer is worth 4 points, right? So whether you're taking a hit or not, that's how you have to view it. Will Foden outscore Gordon by 4 points? Probably not. So move there straight away. I just happen to think that Gabriel and Trent, especially if I make Lewis Munoz next week, which would be the plan, I don't need 2 premium defenders plus Munoz plus Hall plus Mikolenko. That's a lot of money at the back. And these 4.5, 5 million defenders, and I include Munoz and Lewis Hall in it, I'm happy starting these guys every week. I don't need Gabriel plus Trent, and I think Trent is better than Gabriel, especially for the next wave of fixtures. So I look at it and just think, Gabriel down to a Munoz saves me a couple of million, and on 1.5
But
million.
what are you saving the cash for is my counter. I mean, who are you saving it for? Because you have a pretty stacked team. Are you going to buy Haaland later? No. Are you going to buy Alisson? I'm not even sure you're looking at Alisson.
So, no, but that money doesn't leave me much in the bank. If I go Gabriel to Munoz, that gives me the money to go Cunha to Isak. It only leaves like 0.5 in the bank.
Yeah, but then again, you'll have to sell Foden next week anyway, so you'll get some cash, no?
Yeah, and my plan would be to keep Foden for West Ham, Brentford, and Ipswich. If I keep him this week, I'll probably keep him for Brentford and Ipswich, and then I sell him the week after, probably for a Liverpool midfielder to punt on Diaz or Jota for the double. It means
I think the critical point, Johnny, here is that whether or not you think that Hall and Gordon, Hall. Wait, let me rephrase my question. Whether you think this is a bit confusing, whether you think that Foden plus Hall outscores the other combo, Gabriel plus Gordon, by 4 points.
Don't know the answer to that. That's the problem. I feel like
Exactly.
the ceiling is bigger with Hall and Foden, but I feel like the more sort of guaranteed safe route is, of course, Gabriel and Gordon.
Exactly. I think I would go Gabriel and Gordon because that safety net of 4 points is probably enough to make me lean that way, I think. And you never know. I mean, with Gabriel, with the Arsenal set pieces, etc. I mean, I would find that to be a very dodgy sell, especially in a fixture where they could clean. I mean, it is tricky.
They could, but away at Brighton, I think they probably concede. At home to Spurs, I think they concede. And then at home to Villa,
I think
Watkins is firing. Who knows?
You're in a position where, a lot of FPL managers already have double Arsenal defense. So even if they concede, you won't exactly lose out with Gabriel, right? So, but if they clean or if Gabriel scores, then you might be in a very precarious position.
Yeah, I know. I do get to keep, though. If I lose Gabriel, then I do have, always with a good fixture, because I rotate them, a Hall, a Munoz, a Lewis, blah, blah, blah. Like they're players that actually I'm very happy starting. They are performing like premium defenders some weeks. Like Lewis Hall has been amazing. I don't want to be benching Lewis Hall. And at times, if I keep Gabriel and Trent, I'll be benching Lewis Hall.
Another thing is that with your team, with the fixtures that Hall and Munoz have coming up, I think you can even have a flexible 4-4-2 in some weeks, looking at your team, because Rodgers' fixtures will turn as well very soon. Enzo's not exactly as good of an asset as we expected him to be. I would definitely have that flexibility of having Gabriel, Trent, Hall, Munoz. I mean, why not? If you are in that position to go there, that would be an insanely good defense. And the good thing is that Gabriel's tougher fixtures sort of coincide with Munoz and Hall as well. So that's all the more reason to go for that defense, because that would allow you to have those 4 defenders in place.
It's fair. And I've also thought if I go that route, there's weeks I'll do a Dean and play a 4-4-2. Like I could very, I've got Enzo and Rodgers and João Pedro. I could bench 2 of those on one given week and go with, I'm going to play, Rico Lewis and Lewis Hall, for example. So yeah, it's definitely an option. Thank you guys for all your votes. Like, I think it was something like 90%, 87% say get rid of Foden, as I knew you would. Loads, by the way, having a little pop at me owning Foden. Might I just mention that most of you sold Saka for Odegaard and Bruno, and Foden's outscored them both in this 2-game week win by a country mile, actually.
We haven't really mentioned Gabby Jesus, and people are asking about it in the comments in terms of whether he is a good signing. I've said I think he's a bit trendy, and I don't count on it, but again, I picked Odegaard, and he's certainly not trendy, and he's not good from an FPL standpoint. So, yeah, where would you have him now in like a ranking of players you need if you were bringing somebody in?
Loads have gone Chris Wood this week. He's the most bought-in player, right?
Is he?
And I think Gabby Jesus is a better short-term pick.
Do you? Yeah. Yeah, when Gabby
Jesus... Wood's never going to be a transfer out. Like, you can just run with him all season. Yeah. You're probably going to need to use a transfer on Gabby Jesus at some point in the next couple of months. But whilst he's playing and whilst he's getting the chances, the XG suggests he's a great option. So same as Gakpo. I like them probably both better short-term.
Yeah.
I think I prefer Wood as well. Just saves the transfer later.
Does definitely save a transfer. You're right there. Guys, we have got nearly 400 people watching. We've been recording for 49 minutes and we've not told you to hit the like button. So if you fancy liking, that'd be amazing. But likewise, from 400 of you, I'm guessing a fair few aren't subscribed. So hit that subscribe button if you fancy. And Dean, will you give them a reminder on the members offering with your WhatsApp group?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you go to the homepage, you can become a CGA member. There's 2 tiers. One of just mainly to support us and the channel, and you get a couple of extra videos a week. I need to actually do one for this week. So let me know if you want me to talk about something specific. And then if the higher tier, you do get to come into our WhatsApp group, which is the best thing about the membership scheme. There's a load of people in there. It's a 24/7 chat room, basically, about FPL, people from all over the world. So you've always got somebody to chat to. I'm there most of the day as well. So, yeah, highly recommend it. If you fancy it, get on board.
There we go. Big man, we should see your team.
Sure. And I think we'll probably spend the least amount of time discussing my team this week because the transfer seems fairly straightforward. I'll be starting Flecken, by the way. He's fit now. But apart from that, nothing else will change much. Solanke will go for Isak. He's the only sort of realistic route I have to Isak in my team. Apart from that, there's not much to discuss. I'll be starting Raul. I think he starts Fulham were pretty good while he was playing, and then once he went off, I didn't think Muniz had a very good game. So I'd expect Raul to get close to 60, 65 again, which is enough in a fixture like Ipswich. I think he'd be good value. I guess the alternative I have is to sell Raul, is to sell, let's say, a Saliba, get someone like a Munoz or Hall, and upgrade Raul to Isak. But I don't exactly want to use my two free transfers this week because I want to give myself the flexibility of probably getting an Alisson or a Bruno next week if needed. And secondly, while Raul is starting, which I believe he will, he could still be a very good option for Ipswich, West Ham, Leicester. So I don't exactly feel an urgent need to sell him right now. Even though I've sort of gotten his minutes horribly wrong in the past, I'm hoping I'm right this time. And if I am, I can maybe enjoy some points from him in the weeks to come. Besides, Solanke has Arsenal and Everton away in the next 2 weeks anyway, so I'm not exactly that keen on keeping him at the cost of spending an extra free transfer as well. So, yeah, that's basically my team. And yeah, Salah will be the captain. I think I'll go Palmer vice captain. And yeah, I mean, I think there'll be a lot of more engaging or exciting discussion regarding my team next week. But this week, it seems fairly straightforward.
I like that. Where would you look to eventually go for your third Liverpool spot in terms of what spot would be up for grabs here? Like, would it be, is it Flecken to Alisson?
It could be Alisson. It could be Konate even if he's back by then. Well, he's
it looks
due
like
to
he's
train
back
today.
Training as well, by the way.
Yeah, so that's why I want to have that extra free transfer so that I have the flexibility to jump on whichever player I need. And besides, I want at least one of Munoz or Hall in the weeks to come. I don't want any of them. And I think this extra week of information would go a long way in helping me in my decision. Because if I was buying a defender this week, it would be a really tough call between Munoz and Hall. And that's why I sort of like the Saliba downgrade next week as opposed to this week where it's a much trickier decision.
Yeah, fair. Completely hear that. I think we're good. Is it worth using wildcard now once activated where you can cancel it, says Michael? No, don't. I think it's probably too early to use wildcard. If you want to see a wildcard draft, I have posted one on my channel, but unless you're desperate, I don't think so. Big man,
what's the main thing you would need on the wildcard, mate? What would you gain from it?
I think you'd go triple Newcastle if you don't already have, like, you go heavy on, say, Gordon, Isak, Hall. You probably get triple Liverpool in place. But yeah, you're not doing a massive reshuffle. You might go double Crystal Palace, like an Eze and a Munoz. But
yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to wait. There's obviously a chance that Haaland would come good again across this season, potentially. Something like that happening, and it's probably worth keeping in your back pocket. Like if Haaland scores, say, a couple against West Ham this game week, then people's minds are going to start to head back there. And I know like there's still not the value because of how highly priced he is, but you never know what City could do in the second half of the season once they sign a couple of players. So I think it's probably worth just keeping that in the back pocket.
Yeah, definitely do. Big man, have you looked ahead to chip strategy? Any idea of when you're going to play wildcards and other chips?
Definitely not using the wildcard anytime soon. And I think it's best used in conjunction or in combination with the other chips because that's going to lead to a much more powerful strategy. So even if you're sort of struggling with your team, I think you can probably take a hit or two. But I think it's definitely worth saving the wild card for later. But yeah, apart from that, I will look more into chip strategy. I think we'll have a bit more clarity depending on when the Liverpool double is. But once that is announced, I'll seriously get into it.
Yeah, nice. Guys, we would love to hit 100 likes. We're only on 90, which goes to if you don't ask, you don't get. I know I bang on about it, but we'd be on loads of likes if I'd mentioned it 5 times. We've mentioned it once and we're only on 90, which is quite frankly, after nearly an hour of recording and 400 watching at any given point, is quite frankly embarrassing. So you lot need to do better to support the channel, please. We're not asking for anything to pay, like paid for stuff, just simple click.
Only a couple of ways.
We'll answer some questions to give you something back.
Good of us.
Oh, that's a long one. One for you, big man.
So the question is, would you recommend selling Bruno or João Pedro this week? Think about getting Gordon Martinelli. What would you guys recommend? I think you can keep both. I think João Pedro is actually a season keeper at his price. I mean, not exactly season keeper, but you just can keep him for the foreseeable. And I don't think it's worth selling Bruno if you've kept him till this point. I mean, the fixtures from next week are really, really good. So I think you just accept the blank that he's going to give this week and just enjoy owning him for the times to come.
One for you, Dean. Your boy Harry Wilson's getting game time and goals.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Fulham got a good fixture this weekend. I mean, personally, I think I'd go Iwobi over Wilson just because he's more locked in. And you know what you're getting from Iwobi. He's one of the most important players in the team. And Harry Wilson can tend to still be used as that impact player off the bench. In a way, it's how he's best used. So if I was looking to get a Fulham player in this week, I'd say there's a better chance of getting points from Alex Iwobi.
Ice G, wait a week, mate, on that decision if I was you. It's not the best entry point for Eze Martinelli. Diaz, Jota are great, but I'd wait a week. Big man, back round to you, Jasander.
Jasander's asking how I play Gabriel, Robinson, TF, Hall, Munoz, choose 3. Trent for sure, Robinson, and I think I'd play Gabriel. Yeah, the first 3.
Would you? Interesting. Kwanzaa v Man United or Castagna v Southampton? Much of a muchness, really. I mean, Kwanzaa's definitely...
well done on owning Kwanzaa. If you've kept him this long, I mean, you deserve it.
You might as well get something out of Kwanzaa at this point. So I actually fancy Liverpool to beat United more convincingly than the other one. So, yeah, I'd go Kwanzaa. Make the most of that asset.
There we go. Off-core, Jay, thank you so much. And Gucci hitting us with a super chat as well. Question from Mackham. Would you sell Timber Greaves for... By the way, any channel members that have questions, we'll always prioritize you guys. Channel members' questions always answered. Non-channel members will still try and answer some questions. Would you sell Timber Greaves for Hall we'll just play Van den Berg on roll. Van den Berg just doesn't keep cleans, does he? I just don't ever back Brentford for a clean. I think I'd jump on Hull early, Mackham. I'd be happy to sell Timber if you own Gabriel already.
Yeah, absolutely. We have got more likes now. Thanks for the super chat.
Because I was mean to everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got to 115 now, so it's gone up. Heaps of good advice for an hour, and it costs nothing. Thank you very much, mate.
I hate the fact that if you don't ask, you don't get. It'd be nice just to say nothing and get loads of likes.
That doesn't work in any walk of life. Gordon in for Enzo or Roll. This one for you, G, really. I mean, you probably watch more of Enzo and know what we're more likely to get from him.
He's been really unlucky of late. And look, Lavia could be back. If Lavia's back in the team, Enzo's slightly higher. The Chelsea fixtures are there for the taking. I love Gordon, but I'd give Enzo another week,
Would you? Interesting.
He's been really good of late, really creative.
Matthew's asking bench one, Munoz, Gabriel, Robinson. I think I would probably bench Munoz out of the three.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. The other two just got good fixtures, haven't they? So it's just a good one. I mean, they are actually two of the best players in the game, not just got two good fixtures. They are two of the best players in the game. So I think that's what probably edges that one.
There we go. 400 of you watching. Thank you so much for your support, Chasers. Genuinely, we do appreciate you for joining in and tuning in every Friday. Where we go live at 2 p.m. We also do shows on a Monday evening, UK time. And we do a Wednesday show as well, also 2 p.m. So notes for the diary, Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. And we are back, I was going to say as normal next week. I guess we are. There's no FPL, so yeah, I think we're back as normal on Monday. There is some FA Cup football, and it was EFL Cup semis and FA Cup. So actually, there's still loads to discuss because there's important stuff before Game Week 21 comes around the corner. CH says, "What is normal?" That is a very, very good point. The schedule's been all over the shop, but yeah, we'll be back on Monday, guys. Good luck this game week. I'm guessing you're all captaining. Salah. We haven't discussed that, but we don't need to. Ice G will end on this note. Can't believe Gianni is selling Foden against West Ham. Well, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm going against the night.
He's not going to.
Guys, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.